10 years ago, due to an accident, my childhood sweetheart slowly went down the wrong path because of her own paranoia. She distanced herself from me and got together with a punk. She learned to smoke, drink, and fight. She even filmed short, scandalous videos with him, which caused a sensation throughout the entire school. Eventually, she paid the price for her actions. That night, a group of people surrounded her. I saved her, but was seriously injured in the process. Later, I went abroad and never saw her again. 10 years later, we met again at a good friend's wedding. Crying, she told me, "Do you have any idea? I've been looking for you for 10 years. I returned to the country this time to attend the wedding of my good old friend, Li Fei. What I didn't expect was that Zhou Mian would also be here. She was wearing a long white dress, sitting among the crowd. Even though she wasn't the main attraction, all eyes were drawn to her. Having not seen her for 10 years, she had become more mature and charming than before. Bro, don't tell me you're also into the goddess Zhou Mian. She's a CEO, a talented graduate from Peking University, beautiful and rich, the dream girl for so many men. I heard that every day, people go to the places she frequents just to wait for her, trying all sorts of tricks to win her over. But I've also heard that the goddess Zhou Mian's heart already belongs to someone. She's been looking for a man for all these years. I wonder which guy is lucky enough to have earned her favor." The people beside me whispered amongst themselves as they looked at Zhou Mian. I was stunned for a moment as memories of the past flooded back. It was her birthday during our senior year of high school. We were dreaming about the future, talking about everything from college to marriage. Just as I was about to confess my feelings, we each received a phone call and then ran desperately to the hospital. These painful memories flooded my mind in an instant. Just then, Li Fei's voice broke me out of my reverie. He poured me a glass of wine. "Brother Hao, Mian Mian is here too. She's been looking for you all these years." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Mian approached. "Jin Hao, is that you? I knew you weren't dead." She reached out, her trembling fingertips moving toward my face, but I dodged her touch. I greeted her politely. "Hello, Miss Zhou. It's been a long time." Zhou Mian stared at me in disbelief. "What did you call me?" "I'm Mian Mian. Don't you remember?" I looked at Li Fei and said, "Sorry, I have something else to do. I'll be leaving first." Then I turned, walked past Zhou Mian, and left the wedding venue. Zhou Mian was my childhood sweetheart. We grew up together. When we played house as children, she always loved to be my wife. As we got a little older, we outgrew those games, but she still loved to stick by my side. We played video games together, studied together, and only had eyes for each other. The adults would often joke that we would surely be a very happy couple in the future. After starting middle school, Zhou Mian became more and more beautiful. Coupled with her already outstanding grades, she naturally attracted the attention of many boys. There were always all sorts of flowers and love letters on her desk, but she threw them all away and always did so deliberately in front of me. I laughed and said, "So many love letters. Aren't you going to take a look? What if your type isn't there? Wouldn't it be a shame to miss out?" Zhou Mian said seriously, "I only like wood, so there's no way I'll miss out." "What? You big idiot." Zhou Mian cursed, her face flushing red as she ran off. I stood there stunned for a good while before I understood. There was only a thin paper window between Zhou Mian and me, and she was waiting for the day I would take the initiative to poke it open. And I had also been waiting for an opportunity. After that, we continued to get along as we always had. We excelled in our studies, never falling out of the top 10 in our grade all the way through our senior year. With our rankings, getting into a prestigious 985 university was more than enough. We even had a shot at Tsinghua or Peking University if we performed well in the college entrance exams. If things had proceeded normally, we would have gone on to live a happy life together. But on her birthday during our senior year, an accident happened. The call we received that day was about our fathers being in a car accident. Zhou Mian's father unfortunately passed away, while my father survived. Because my dad had switched seats with Zhou Mian's dad halfway through the journey, my dad moved to the back seat. So he was lucky enough to escape death, but he still had to stay in the hospital for several months to recover. Zhou Mian couldn't accept this fact and didn't believe it was an accident. She thought my dad had killed her father, so she hated our whole family. She went to the police station, but still only got the answer that it was an accident. But she still didn't believe it and stubbornly believed that my dad had killed her dad. She smashed the music box I gave her in front of me. I hate you all. Your dad is the murderer, and you are his accomplices. I was very sad. I didn't know how to comfort her. From then on, Zhou Mian changed. She never took the initiative to say a word to me again, and she started skipping classes, and her grades plummeted. In the next exam, she dropped to below 50th place. Finally, I couldn't help but find her. Do you know what you are doing? You will be ruined if you go on like this. Who do you think you are to me? My dad? My dad is gone. From now on, no one can control me. Zhou Mian left after saying this, and I didn't know how to persuade her. A few days later, I heard that Zhou Mian was with Songming. Songming was also from our school, a small-time hoodlum who smoked, fought, and flirted with girls. Almost all the pretty girls in the school had been harassed by him, and his reputation was already notorious. In order to pick up girls, he even went to the gym to work out. He often stood on the basketball court, took off his shirt to show off his 8-pack abs, and attract the attention of girls. Of course, hoodlums were the object of hatred in the eyes of all teachers, but of course he didn't care. Many teachers were so angry with him that they didn't want to go to his class. Those young and beautiful female teachers were afraid when they heard his name. Once, a new female teacher was cornered by him in the classroom and harassed for an afternoon. She was so scared that she didn't dare to come the next day. Songming's parents were called because of this, but for him, it was a trivial matter. He had also sent love letters to Zhou Mian many times, but gave up after a few failures. I didn't expect Zhou Mian to hang out with him. One was a good girl with excellent grades, and the other was a small-time hoodlum who idled around all day. It was incredible that these two people were hanging out together. That day after school, Songming walked over with his arm around Zhou Mian's shoulder. This was the first time I had seen Songming. I had to admit that although he had a bad reputation, he was indeed good-looking. However, Zhou Mian clearly didn't like him before, so why the sudden change of heart? Songming asked, I heard you used to always pester my girlfriend. Girlfriend? This word was harsh to my ears. I thought I was the only one who could call her that, but now hearing it from someone else's mouth left a bitter taste. I glanced at Zhou Mian. She gave a smile and leaned against Songming, looking very intimate. I looked at Zhou Mian. Is what he said true? Zhou Mian nodded. That's right. I suddenly realized that Songming is my type. But you used to. Before I could finish, Zhou Mian continued. People change. I reminded her. If you really like him, I have nothing to say, but I hope you're not deliberately debasing yourself. Songming threatened. Are you looking for a beating? How is being with me debasing herself? I came to warn you to stay away from my girlfriend from now on. Zhou Mian took his arm, ready to leave. As she passed by me, she whispered, Don't tell my mom about my business, or you're dead. From then on, Zhou Mian became more and more depraved. Originally, she was the teacher's favorite student, but now she was increasingly disliked. She began to chat unscrupulously in class, talk back to the teachers, and fight with others. She often skipped class to go out with Songming, returning with the smell of alcohol on her. Ever since her father's accident, Zhou Mian's temperament had changed drastically. She wouldn't say anything when her mother asked, and she often stayed out all night, lying that she was helping classmates with their studies. At first, Zhou's mother didn't think much of it, but when she saw Zhou Mian's exam results, she naturally felt that something was wrong. Zhou Mian's grades had always been very stable. It was impossible for them to drop so much for no reason. In the past, Zhou Mian had the best relationship with her father. Now that he was gone, she didn't know how to communicate with her daughter, so she decided to come to me for information. Seeing Zhou's mother's anxious look, I could only tell her everything Zhou Mian had been doing during this time. After hearing it, Zhou's mother was stunned, completely unable to believe that this was something her own daughter had done. Zhou's mother wanted to have a direct conversation with her and hoped that I could call her home. However, Zhou's mother didn't know that the people she hated most now were our family. Seeing the hopeful look in her mother's eyes, I could only answer that I would do my best. Zhou's mother left my house in tears. The successive incidents in her family had hit her hard. How did Mian become like this? She used to be so well-behaved. My mom was also very distressed. She had watched Zhou Mian grow up and had even considered her a daughter-in-law, but now such a thing had happened. I shook my head. Zhou Mian was already convinced that my father was responsible for her father's death, and this had become her obsession. I knew I couldn't persuade her, but thinking of her mother's pained expression, I still went to find her. This was my first time in a bar. The restless music echoed in every corner, and many men and women were writhing on the dance floor. I spotted Zhou Mian at a glance. She was wearing a crop top with a black silk miniskirt, heavy makeup, black lipstick, and waving her tattooed arms. If I didn't know her, I would never have imagined she was a student. Next to her, naturally, was Song Ming. Song Ming had his arms around her, his hands roaming over her body. I walked over and pulled Zhou Mian away. Zhou Mian asked, "What are you doing here? Don't bother me if you have nothing to do. How long are you going to keep acting crazy?" She ignored me and continued to sway her body. I had no choice but to confess. Your mom knows everything. She's heartbroken. Go back and talk to her. Are you trying to die? Who told you to tell her? Zhou Mian pointed at me angrily. I asked, "So you care about your reputation now? Then why did you do it? So what if she knows? I just have a little bit of a conscience and didn't want to make her upset. But this is good too. I'm tired of pretending to be a good girl." Zhou Mian didn't seem to care at all. She took a drag from her cigarette and blew a smoke ring at me. I continued to persuade her. "I don't care what you think. She's still your mother. Go back and talk to her." Zhou Mian pushed Song Ming forward. "Fine, if you can drink my boyfriend under the table, I'll consider it." Song Ming glanced at me with disdain and picked up a bottle of beer and started drinking. This was my first time drinking. One bottle down, I felt a little nauseous. Song Ming was a little surprised and continued to drink. I kept going head-to-head with him. We were both reaching our limits. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and went to the bathroom. What a loser. Zhou Mian didn't expect Song Ming to lose to me in a drinking contest and cursed angrily. I won. I fought back the nausea and left the bar. I thought that Zhou Mian would be a little more restrained after talking to her mother this time. But their relationship got even worse. That night, after a big fight between mother and daughter, Zhou Mian ran out again. The next day when I went to school, I heard some shocking news. A video was circulating wildly within the school, and soon I saw it too. It was an explicit video, and the male and female leads were none other than Zhou Mian and Song Ming. Except for the crucial private parts, everything that should be exposed was exposed. This figure, she's truly the school belle. My eyes haven't blinked once. My goddess is no longer pure. I'm heartbroken. I never thought the goddess would stoop to a student like Song Ming. Has the world's sense of beauty become like this? Discussions about this matter were raging in all the school's group chats. The incident caused a huge stir. The school immediately banned the circulation of the video to prevent the situation from escalating further and then notified their parents. Zhou Mian and the other person came to school early in the morning, holding hands and looking very intimate. Song Ming looked at me smugly. "Chun Hao, you look furious. Are you jealous of me? You're overthinking it. I wouldn't like a girl who doesn't respect herself. If I had thought about winning Zhou Mian back before, I had given up after something like this happened." Song Ming laughed. "Just keep being stubborn. Who doesn't know you like Zhou Mian, but now she's in my bed? What's the use of being good at studying if you can't even keep the woman you like? You can only watch her videos to pass the time." Song Ming kissed Zhou Mian on the cheek. "Was last night comfortable? We'll continue tonight." Zhou Mian buried her head in his chest, looking shy. Soon, a classmate came over to tell them to go to the school administration office. "Let's go, we'll go to the office for a cup of tea first." Song Ming was unconcerned. He had been to that place many times, so naturally, he wasn't afraid of going one more time. His father didn't come. His father was out drinking and playing cards all day and didn't want to bother with his son at all. As soon as Song Ming entered the room, he really went to pour tea. The school leaders were helpless against him and couldn't control him at all. It wasn't that the school leaders hadn't thought about expelling him. They mentioned it to his dad last time, but the next day, he still came to class as if nothing had happened. Song Ming's dad also brought people to make trouble at the school every day, saying that the school wanted to ruin Song Ming and how would he get by in the future with a reputation of being expelled. The school could only endure it for the time being. Anyway, it wouldn't be long before Song Ming graduated. He took a sip of tea and sat down leisurely. "Isn't it just a video? My hand slipped, and I accidentally sent it out. Is it necessary to make such a big deal? Besides, I'm the one being watched. I don't even mind. What are you all worried about? The school leaders were speechless. It was impossible to communicate with someone like Song Ming. Zhou's mother also came to the school at this time. She already knew about the matter and had been crying all the way here after learning what had happened, almost fainting from anger. Mian Mian, what's wrong with you? Why have you become like this? Zhou's mother asked in distress. Song Ming scolded. What do you mean by that, old woman? Is Mian Mian at a great loss for being with me? Seeing Song Ming, Zhou's mother slapped him across the face. You are the one who ruined my daughter. I'll beat you to death. But how could a woman like her be a match for Song Ming? Song Ming grabbed her hand and pushed her hard, knocking her directly to the ground. Old thing, you still want to hit me? Zhou Mian stood there indifferently, watching her mother being bullied. I couldn't stand watching from the outside anymore. I rushed in and punched Song Ming, and we started fighting. The teachers immediately separated us when they saw what was happening and then kicked us all out. Zhou's mother walked over and shook Zhou Mian's shoulders. Mian Mian, you seem so strange to me now. Zhou Mian said coldly. I like the way I am now. I can do whatever I want. What's so bad about it? Zhou's mother cried out. If your father knew what you become, how heartbroken he would be. You still have the nerve to mention Dad? Dad was killed by that family, and you're still so close to them. Make Shenhao's father pay with his life. What do you know besides crying? After a pause, she continued, Dad promised to buy me Lego for my birthday, but I'll never receive that gift again. He can't take me to the amusement park anymore, and he won't make me breakfast every day anymore. Zhou Mian was emotional and cried very sadly. Her father was the closest person to her, but she no longer had a father. No, your dad's death was just an accident. Zhou's mother wanted to explain further, but was interrupted by Zhou Mian. She covered her ears, shook her head, and cried. I don't want to hear it. My dad was killed by their family. After saying that, she ran directly out of the office. Just when I thought the matter was over, someone posted that video online, and it quickly went viral. Zhou Mian's personal information was quickly dug up, and netizens flooded the comment section with insults. Some believed she was a clout-chasing prostitute trying to raise her price. In short, there were all sorts of comments, but not a single good word. Just as the internet was filled with condemnation, Zhou Mian suddenly posted a long essay. The gist of it was that she had become the way she was because her father had been murdered and no one helped her get justice. So she gave up on herself and became who she is today. This post quickly trended again. Netizens began to comfort her, while my father started being attacked online. My dad, who had just gotten out of bed after being bedridden for months, was so angered by the news that he was confined to his bed for several more days. His phone was flooded with abusive messages every day, and even my mother and I were pointed at and talked about when we went out. I had only heard about cyberbullying before, but experiencing it firsthand was truly painful. My mother hugged me and cried. Why does our family have to bear these baseless accusations? Because the incident had blown up, the Public Security Department soon released the investigation results online, confirming that it was indeed an accident. I don't believe this result. Since the matter has been decided, I have no choice but to accept my fate. Some people destroy other people's families. There will definitely be retribution. Zhou Mian posted another long essay, and the netizens' emotions were completely swayed by her. There were still many people who believed her words. My dad developed depression because of this incident. Even though he knew he was innocent, the power of gossip is formidable. With so many people talking, he began to doubt whether he was truly responsible. Moreover, Zhou Mian had also fallen from grace because of this, and she was a child he had watched grow up. As the college entrance exam drew nearer, Zhou Mian continued her role as the delinquent girl, just as before. Many people sympathized with her, yet they redirected their grievances toward my family. Classmates at school began to ostracize me, cutting me off from their circles. My desk was often littered with trash. I could only console myself with the thought that once the exams were over, everything would naturally return to normal. As for Zhou Mian and me, we had become like two parallel lines, destined never to cross paths again. But sometimes, life has a way of being dramatic. One evening after self-study sessions, I spotted Zhou Mian from a distance, surrounded by a group of people blocking the school gate. The reason was that Song Ming's older brother from outside school had also seen the video of them in bed, and had taken a liking to Zhou Mian. As for Zhou Mian's miserable situation, he completely ignored it. After all, Zhou Mian was Song Ming's girlfriend, and he had already slept with all his lackeys' girlfriends. So that night, he ordered Song Ming to hand Zhou Mian over to him and his brothers for their amusement. Zhou Mian, of course, refused, but faced with such a large group, she was powerless. It was her first time encountering such a situation, and she was utterly terrified, trembling as she hid in a corner. Mingge, this girl is really beautiful. Never thought you'd get to her first. That video was so thrilling. I couldn't get her gorgeous figure out of my head all night. The hoodlums around Song Ming looked at Zhou Mian as if she were a fish on a chopping block, waiting to be slaughtered. Song Ming was naturally unwilling, but he didn't dare offend his older brother. He had no choice but to hand Zhou Mian over. In their world, women were merely playthings. There was no real emotional attachment. Seeing Zhou Mian's pitiful expression, Song Ming impatiently said, "Stop pretending to be innocent. Weren't you wild when I had my way with you? Now it's just a dozen or so guys. Endure it, and it'll be over soon." Fear filled Zhou Mian's eyes. It was only then that she realized the magnitude of the trouble her actions had caused. Seeing Zhou Mian surrounded, my first instinct was to walk away. But in the end, I couldn't stand by and do nothing. I grabbed a wooden stick and charged forward. I pulled Zhou Mian and made a run for it. When Song Ming saw it was me, his anger flared even more, and he immediately led the others in pursuit. I shielded Zhou Mian behind me and fought them off. Outnumbered and overpowered, I was no match for them. Soon, I was covered in blood, with not a single part of my body left unscathed. With the last of my strength, I said to her, "Run." Zhou Mian shook her head. "Chen Hao, why are you so foolish?" I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth. "When we were kids, I promised I would protect you when I grew up. I've kept that promise. Also, didn't you want my dad to pay with his life? I'll give you my life, but please clear my father's name." I pushed Zhou Mian away and used my body to block the others. Only when her figure disappeared from my sight did I finally let out a sigh of relief. I collapsed to the ground but didn't die. The police arrived just in time. I had called them earlier when Zhou Mian was surrounded. At the hospital, my mother broke down in tears at the sight of me covered in blood, while my father comforted her by her side. Through her sobs, my mother asked, "What did our family do wrong? Why do we always have to suffer?" My injuries were severe. The doctor said it would take at least 6 months for me to fully recover. My father had already been deeply affected by what happened before. Now, with this incident happening to me, he decided to leave this place of sorrow and start anew abroad. All those painful memories flooded my mind. Now, 10 years later, seeing Zhou Mian again wasn't as agonizing as it once was. "Mr. Chun, this is the client file for tomorrow's meeting." My assistant, Jiang Ying, handed me a document. I had returned to the country this time, not only for Li Fei's wedding, but also for some business matters. I opened the file and couldn't help but be taken aback by the name on it. The client representative was no other than Zhou Mian. After 10 years, she had become a successful professional. Jiang Ying reminded me, "Mr. Chun, this Zhou Mian is said to be very cold and difficult to deal with. But she is indeed very capable. A graduate from a prestigious university, she reached a management position within 2 years of graduation and then quickly rose to the position of CEO. After that incident, Zhou Mian had publicly cleared my father's name, and she had reverted to her old self, catching up academically in a short amount of time. Her achievements today did not surprise me. I had thought our encounter at the wedding would be the last, but here we were, about to meet again. The meeting was set at a coffee shop. Zhou Mian had clearly been informed beforehand, as she showed little surprise upon seeing me. She sat down across from me, her emotions stirred. She stared at me for a long while, as if she couldn't believe it was really me. After a moment, she said, "Chen Hao, I'm so happy to see you." I reminded her, "Ms. Zhou, we are here today to discuss business. Let's not talk about other things." I was too paranoid back then. I shouldn't have held on to an accident, otherwise, things wouldn't have turned out that way. If it weren't for you back then, I really don't know what would have happened. Zhou Mian brought up the past, still seeming frightened by the memory. If she had been taken away that night, one could only imagine the fate that awaited her. It seems we can't continue this discussion today. We'll talk when you've calmed down. I stood up and left directly. Zhou Mian followed, running out after me. After I got in the car, I ordered Jiang Ying drive. Seeing Zhou Mian continuously knocking on the car window, Jiang Ying got out and said, "President Zhou, please go back. You're causing a misunderstanding. Men and women should keep their distance. Surely you know that." With a cold face, Zhou Mian said, "What right does a little assistant like you have to meddle in our affairs? Do you know what our relationship is? I am the eldest daughter of the Jiang group. Now, do you think a little assistant like me has the right? I don't care what your relationship was before. Right now, he is my boss, and my boss doesn't want to see you. As his assistant, I can only comply." Jiang Ying directly revealed her identity. Zhou Mian's temper vanished instantly. She naturally knew of the Jiang family, but their main business was overseas, so it was indeed a bit strange to see Jiang Ying here, and as my assistant no less. "You like Chun Hao? None of your business. Chun Hao and I are childhood sweethearts. I've always been in his heart. You don't have a chance." "Is that so? But he doesn't want to see you right now. If he really liked you, he wouldn't have stayed abroad for 10 years. Stop deceiving yourself." Jiang Ying tossed out this sentence, got back in the car, and deliberately stepped on the gas as she drove past her, making her inhale a good deal of exhaust. I heard their entire argument. Before she could ask, I said, "She and I are indeed childhood sweethearts. But we never took that next step." Jiang Ying said with certainty, "Then she must have hurt you." I didn't say anything. I really didn't want to bring up that matter again. Zhou Mian did change after that incident, but we could never go back to how things were. I haven't been back in 10 years, and this place has changed so much. I wanted to go for a walk, but suddenly I realized I had nowhere to go. I came to the top of the hill behind the school. This was where I had planned to confess my feelings to Zhou Mian, right before I received the phone call that changed both our lives. "I knew you'd be here." As I gazed at the distant scenery, Zhou Mian's voice came from behind me. Zhou Mian wore a long yellow dress and exquisite makeup. She looked elegant and mature. If you didn't know her past, you would never believe she once had that other side. I asked, "President Zhou, are you planning to discuss business with me here?" A wrong look appeared on Zhou Mian's face. "Chen Hao, please don't speak to me in that tone. It makes me feel like we're strangers." I said flatly, "I already gave you what you wanted back then. We don't owe each other anything. Don't be like this. You still have feelings for me in your heart. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come here," Zhou Mian said with certainty. "This place did indeed hold many of our memories, but that was all in the past. You're overthinking it. I'm just familiar with this place, that's all. It doesn't mean anything else. President Zhou, if you still don't want to talk about business, let's just do it another time." With that, I prepare to leave. Zhou Mian immediately grabbed my hand. "I know you won't listen to anything I say, but can you really not forgive me? I know I was wrong. I couldn't accept reality back then, and that's why I became like that. I pull my hand back. I told you, I don't want to bring that up again." Zhou Mian blocked my path and took out a music box from her purse. It was the very one she had smashed. Several cracks were clearly visible on it. She had obviously repaired it. "This was the gift you gave me for my birthday. See, I've kept it all this time." I glanced at it. It was a music box I had specially commissioned for her back then. Zhou Mian loved playing the piano, so the music box was shaped like one. It even had a photo of her printed on it from when she had just turned 17, full of youthful vibrance. The cracks on this mean that no matter how you repair it, it can never be perfect again. A person's heart is the same. Zhou Mian gripped my arm tightly. "Can we go back to how we were before? I promise I'll be good from now on. I won't be willful anymore. When we were little, you would forgive me no matter what I did wrong. Have you forgotten that I'm your Mian?" I said faintly. Not all mistakes can be forgiven. My mood suddenly turned irritable. If not for the last shred of sanity, I definitely would have become violent. She suddenly hugged me tightly. "Don't push me away. We were together for so many years. My world can't exist without you. In the 10 years you were gone, I searched for you like a madwoman. I missed you so much." Zhou Mian suddenly kissed me on the cheek. I immediately pushed her away. I wiped the lipstick off my face. I'm disgusted. I clenched my fists as anger surged in my heart. "Do you have any idea how much you hurt me back then? Because of an accident, you paranoidly insisted that my dad pay with his life. Do you know what he went through during that time? He developed depression. Your paranoia was suffocating him. And then because of your paranoia, you abandoned me and jumped into bed with someone else. Do you have any idea what I went through? Zhou Mian was rendered speechless by my words. I had held these words in for so long, and now I could finally say them. Tears filled Zhou Mian's eyes. I'm sorry. I truly regret it. But I really do still like you. I paid her no more attention and left the place directly. Jiang Ying arranged a business reception for me. In a corner, I saw Zhou Mian. Next to her was a chubby man in ordinary clothes, with a hole in his pants and several scars on his arm. He didn't look like a decent person. I looked closely and realized this man strongly resembled Songming. It had been 10 years, and his appearance had changed drastically. After I went abroad, he had been in prison for a year because of that incident. Naturally, the school wouldn't keep him, and in the end, he never graduated, continuing on as a hooligan. Finding a job was a major problem for someone like him with no education, and it was impossible for him to settle down and work an honest job. I later heard he was jailed for a few more years for various other crimes. I never expected to see him here, still in contact with Zhou Mian. Zhou Mian gave him a card, and only then did Songming leave, satisfied. I blended into the crowd to avoid Zhou Mian's line of sight, so she didn't see me. Jiang Ying had been gone to the restroom for a while. Feeling a bit uneasy, I went to look for her, only to see her cornered in the hallway by Songming. Songming was spouting vulgar words, harassing her just like he used to harass girls back in school. I couldn't believe that even in such a pathetic state, he hadn't forgotten this skill. I shouted, Songming, are you looking to die? Jiang Ying seized the opportunity to run over and hide behind me. You are? Chen Hao. Songming was a bit surprised, not expecting to see me here. Songming laughed self-deprecatingly. 10 years. You're still as dashing as ever. Not like me. I've become like this. Actually, I didn't hate Songming. It wasn't him who stole Zhou Mian back then. Ultimately, it was Zhou Mian's own downfall. If it hadn't been him, it would have been someone else. I smiled. Yeah, you still only know how to be a scoundrel. That's all you'll ever be good for in this life. Don't act all high and mighty in front of me. So what if you're doing better than me? Back then, all you could do was watch your woman get played by me. I still remember that frustrated look on your face, those murderous eyes. I was so scared. Songming continued to laugh. You're quite the lucky one with the ladies, always having such beautiful women around you. But you better watch her closely. Maybe one day, she'll end up in my bed too. After saying this, he prepared to leave. As he passed by me, I kicked out. His whole body slammed against the wall, and he cried out in pain. You dare to hit me? Songming looked at me in disbelief. I shoved his head against the wall, slamming it several times, until he was rolling on the ground in pain. So what if I hit you? The commotion quickly attracted a lot of people. Zhou Mian heard the noise and rushed over. Clearly, she hadn't expected this to happen either. She looked at Songming and ordered, Get to the hospital. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Knowing he was in the wrong, Songming didn't dare make a big scene and could only leave reluctantly. Then she said to me, Don't misunderstand. I'm not involved with him. I cut her off. It has nothing to do with me. No need to explain. With that, Jiang Ying and I left. Zhou Mian wanted to call out to me, but ultimately, the words didn't come out. Jiang Ying wanted to ask about Zhou Mian and me, but she hesitated and in the end didn't ask. And as if she had already guessed my answer, she smiled. You can tell me when you're ready. Zhou Mian told me we could discuss the cooperation, but I had to go to her company to talk. Jiang Ying whispered, Is this woman setting up some kind of trap? Why did she suddenly agree? Stalling with us doesn't do her company any good. The worst that can happen is we don't cooperate. You don't understand women, especially a proud woman like her. How could she compromise so easily? Soon, we arrived at Zhou Mian's company. It was Zhou Mian's assistant who received us. Ms. Zhou has instructed that only Mr. Chan is to go up. I instructed, Go wait for me in the car. I'll be done soon. Jiang Ying urged, Be careful. Don't fall for a honey trap. Don't worry. When I went in, Zhou Mian had already prepared tea and was waiting for me. You're punctual when it comes to business, arriving so quickly. I ignored her and sat down opposite her. Zhou Mian handed me a document. I've already prepared the cooperation proposal. If there are no issues, Mr. Chun, you can sign it. Usually, cooperation negotiations mainly involve haggling over benefits. I looked it over. Zhou Mian's demands weren't excessive, and neither side was at a disadvantage. This didn't fit her persona of being easy to talk to. Zhou Mian suddenly asked, "You like that little assistant, don't you? I know you don't want to talk about personal matters. I just want to know if you would still like her if she were no longer pure, like me." After saying this, she gave a thought-provoking smile. My heart sank. I pushed the door open and ran towards the underground parking garage. From a distance, I saw Jiang Ying being chased by Song Ming. She suddenly tripped and fell, and Song Ming immediately caught up to her. Song Ming was taking off his clothes as he walked, forgetting where he was. He grinned lewdly. "Stop running. I told you you'd end up in my bed." Bang! I kicked him in the back, sending him to the ground. "Are you okay?" I pulled Jiang Ying up. She shook her head and stood behind me, her eyes wandering. What had just happened had frightened her badly. Only then did I look at Song Ming. He looked at me and smiled. "Chen Hao, I was so close to succeeding." I punched him in the face again, then called the police and handed him over to them. Jiang Ying's emotions had stabilized quite a bit by now. After a moment of hesitation, I said, "Go back first and wait for me." Then I returned to Zhou Mian's office. She was still waiting there, just as before, as if she knew I would come back. It seems that good-for-nothing messed things up. I banged on the table and asked angrily, "Why did you do this?" "No reason. If I can't have something, no one else can. If she were defiled, you naturally wouldn't like her anymore." Zhou Mian's expression was savage. She paranoidly believed that by ruining Jiang Ying, she could break us up. "You're a lunatic. I used to think you turned bad because you lost your mind, but actually you're rotten to the core. By the way, I need to reconsider the cooperation with your company." With that, I left. Back at the hotel, the moment I opened the door, Jiang Ying hugged me. "Do you know, I really thought I would never see you again." After a long moment, she finally continued, "Now, can you tell me the story between you two?" After hesitating for a long time, I finally poured out all the past events buried deep in my heart. She was dumbfounded after hearing it, completely unable to comprehend how Zhou Mian and I had missed each other like that. Her downfall back then seems like it was just revenge against you out of her own paranoia. I shook my head. At first, I thought so too, until what happened today. Some people are inherently bad. Sometimes, all they lack is a reason to turn bad. I didn't want to continue on this topic. Jiang Ying didn't deliberately comfort me either. The fact that I could come back here meant I had already let it go. She suddenly said, "I want to be in a relationship with you." I actually knew all along what was on her mind. It was by no means normal for a rich young lady like her to come and be my assistant. Privately, I had also heard that many men were pursuing Jiang Ying, but she had rejected them all, with her heart set on me. I saw everything she did for me, but back then, I hadn't completely let go of that past relationship, so I could only pretend not to know. Her face turned red after she spoke, her hands clasped tightly, afraid to hear me refuse. I looked in her eyes, then slowly leaned in and kissed her. After a long moment, we parted, and I nodded, "Okay." After being caught, Song Ming quickly implicated Zhou Mian. From the police, it was learned that Song Ming had leverage over Zhou Mian, which was why Zhou Mian had been giving him money. However, sometimes Zhou Mian needed to handle some shady business, so he would turn to him. Leverage? I guess it was about that video. Zhou Mian had now completely changed her image, and besides her former classmates, no one knew she was that delinquent girl from back then. With her current status and position, she naturally didn't want people to know about her disgraceful past. I thought the matter would end here, but unexpectedly, I heard news about Zhou Mian again not long after. Zhou Mian and Song Ming fell from a building at the same time. Both were seriously injured and hospitalized. Because of Zhou Mian's status, this news became a top local search. Following that, an even more explosive piece of news emerged. Famous female CEO was once a delinquent girl. It started when Song Ming threatened Zhou Mian with that incident. He wanted a huge sum of money, and when Zhou Mian refused, the two argued and got into a scuffle, accidentally falling from the balcony. They were saved by an awning below, which broke their fall. Song Ming was paralyzed from the waist down. For someone who spent his days harassing women, this was worse than death. Afterwards, to get revenge on Zhou Mian, he exposed the incident. Zhou Mian broke her leg, and needed to rest and recuperate. What was worse was that the company fired her directly. The incident back then had been a huge scandal. Regardless of the reason for Zhou Mian's downfall, the videos that were filmed were real, and they seriously damaged the company's image, so she was immediately kicked out. Zhou Mian's company sent a new CEO to sign the contract, and so the mission was successfully completed. After the incident, there was no one by Zhou Mian's hospital bed. When Jiang Ying and I arrived, she was just coming back from the toilet on crutches. I saw that her pants were wet. She probably never imagined she would end up like this. She picked up the music box in her hand and smiled foolishly. In that instant, it was as if that once youthful and lively girl was standing before me again. That vibrant girl, fantasizing about the future with me. How beautiful that moment was. In the end, we didn't go in. Life cannot be redone. I only hope that in the rest of her life, she can go back to being the person she was before she was 17.